Hi. I want to show you my Halloween costume, but this camera is kind of crappy. Oh, good, you can see it. Did anybody see everything everywhere all at once? Well, there it is. You're dealing with a menopausal witch, so I thought I would dress accordingly. As promised, we are reviewing the reading from the annular solar eclipse because it was not done with me. And I have a really big, ambitious agenda for this reading. So, just hoping that I can fit it all together for you. Because I don't want to pretend ever that I've got all this together and I understand everything, and that's my point of view. I offer these things as my journey and my research, and I'm really hoping that they resonate for you, they're helpful for you, they give you shortcuts on your journey. But let's not pretend like I am some kind of expert here. I don't think anybody fully understands the mystery of the life that we're living in. And that's why this moment is so perfect to try and do something a little bigger than I ordinarily do, because it's a big moment, right? This is Samhain, spelled Samhain, the Festival of All Souls, All Saints' Day, Festival of the Dead, and I want to talk for a minute. I want to tell you a ghost story, really. I want to talk for a minute about some of the research I did on this. My lighter does not want to do it. From the ancient origins of Halloween, because it's really easy to think that this is a sort of disconnected, meaningless holiday. And it isn't. It's not a meaningless holiday at all. It is deeply meaningful. Now, why would we be celebrating the dead? We know that this is the Druidic New Year. We know that bonfires were lit in ancient times in Northern Europe in order to bring cheer and warmth to the dead. Little incense for them, because they like the unseen things. And it turns out that it wasn't just Northern Europe. This is my vulture feather. We have a family of vultures that live in my neighborhood in the summertime, and they gift me with many feathers, and I'm going to use it for us today. The Day of the Dead, Halloween, Samhain, is universal. We have ancient evidence for it in both hemispheres. We can find celebrations in both Peru and Spain at the same time. So both hemispheres were doing this. We also have evidence in ancient India, which is Diwali, which is the lighting of these lights, which we're going to talk more about. Also the Pacific Islands, Australia, Egypt. and Northern Europe. There's Persian references, ancient Iraq. There's, of course, Jewish and ancient Hebrew and Chaldean references to this holiday. Now, why? We find that there is a global tradition that celebrates a massive flood. And all of these traditions, the ones that I just named, reference the year beginning when the Pleiades, which is the shoulder of the bull, which is Taurus, rises at midnight. Now, tonight, Halloween, actually tomorrow and tonight, if you look straight up at midnight, you will see the Pleiades. It will start on the southern horizon and it will rise to the apex of the sky. Why is this important? Because the Pleiades is the origin point of a massive meteor storm that isn't affected by Jupiter. Like, Jupiter doesn't clear it out for us, so it impacts Earth directly. And we cross this meteor stream twice a year. It is associated, the Taurids, Taurus, Arcturus, where the shoulder of the bull meets that fixed star, associated with the comet Encke. And Encke peaks twice a year, in June and early November. Early November is the 5-day celebration of Diwali in the Hindu tradition, and most other traditions have at least a 3-day celebration of the dead at that time. South American tradition states explicitly that this holiday celebrates the flood, and it celebrates and commemorates loss and grief and the triumph through that grief of life, biological life on the planet. It is a festival of giving warmth and cheer to the dead who return in search of their legacy. And that word legacy is very important. And it's part of the reason why I wanted to return to this reading that we did at the annular lunar eclipse at the beginning of the last lunar cycle, at the last new moon. I know it's hard to believe that's when this was, but it was. Now, we had this symbol in the middle. We had the spider, this weaving. And if you look, even the web that we have on this card shows a spiral. The ellipse that the Pleiades travels around the Earth, because that's kind of what it looks like if you're able to look at it. And in the blog, if I write one this time, I will post a link to all the research for that I got from Randall Carlson. This spiral that is woven is eerie, it's spooky, it's return and toroidal motion, outside to in, inside to out. It's encountering yourself and your unconscious over and over, and sometimes it's jump scare. Sometimes it's really frightening. Life is like that. There is fear here. There is difficulty here. But that's not all there is. There is an increase and a decrease, like a concrescence, like a building. And a new moon builds the cycle to the full moon, and then the full moon releases it. But in the astrology of these eclipse to this new moon cycle, we have a cathartic release, and the release comes through how the planets are aligned at this new moon. And as you've probably heard screamed from the treetops, Pluto is opposite Mars, who's hosting this new moon in all the charts, right? In the tropical chart. So what we have is a place where past, present, and future are coming together, and they're woven together. And the deluge of the past, the ancestors of the past, are here in the present. And that's why I think it's a little bit like a ghost story, a little bit like a spooky tale, because it's a haunted legacy that we're living here, and there's a reckoning, and it's a little bit of a jump scare. But you are a soul, not a spider. Okay, so that's who we were weaving at the eclipse. We were crossed by this symbol of Scorpio, which is also a symbol of Libra. The new moon is occurring in Scorpio in the tropical chart, and it is in Sidereal Libra. There is a sense of phoenix rising from the ashes, death, rebirth. And that process is a deepening and a balancing. And it is something that we must walk through. So it presents now as an obstacle, but it culminates, right? It's a 9. And so it brings those energies all together into this spiral. It's founded in grace, and it's crowned in joy, but it's moving from ego, that it's all about the me identity, into the kind of fear that demolishes the ego. The kind of fear that takes us apart enough to be open, that gives us the catharsis that we need. We think we don't like fear, but that jump scare, that instant of openness, is what it takes for the unseen to become seen. And that is Samhain. That is Hallowmas. That is All Saints' Day. That's the Festival of the Dead. That's the Druidic New Year. And it is the celebration of humanity moving forward despite everything that's been thrown at us. It's hard to find appreciation and gratitude in this moment, but if you can walk away from this one thing that I'm doing today with anything, please let it be that. You are part of a heroic species. And that ain't pretty. Being a hero, being a leader, is a little bit ugly sometimes. The ragged edge of consciousness is just that. It's hard. But we're doing it. And with every day that we're still alive, there is hope. Hey, at least you're alive to be afraid, right? Strong forces are pulling for us. Strong forces are within us. The air, the prana. Diwali is about Swati Nakshatra, Arcturus, fixed star. This is the flower that bends in the wind, and in fire or water. We can lose our breath. We can lose our inspiration. Only in temperance, only in knowing that we are the unseen too, that we are beyond death, that we are not born, and that we do not die, can we experience the balance that yields life. We don't know how to imbue things with life. So I know a lot of people want to think that AI is something dangerous. I don't believe it is. It has no spirit. If we program it to be destructive, it'll be destructive. But if we don't, it won't. And if we lead with heart and with mind joined, yoked with the spirit, then we can move forward. But we need a sense of identity that's not divisive. The air, the prana, links the body to the mind, right? And when the body and the mind are joined in the heart, then an individual is part of wholeness, not apart from wholeness. Part of something bigger. Part of a bigger plan. And it gets hidden in our everyday world. You're as rich as what you can give away. And we all know, and we have seen in moments of crisis, that we give and we know how to give. That there is a larger part of ourselves that responds to that jump scare, to that openness. There is an altruism that is still alive in us if we don't let it die. And it is in the air and it is in the breath. Now, it also comes from being a creature that can swim and can fly, that can use fire and air. This has something to do with our capacity to detonate the atom. That was a test. And our fitness is being tested because the program of intelligence will go forward. The dolphin is an incredibly intelligent animal, maybe more intelligent than we are. Will we learn these things, or will we succumb to our ignorance? Are people way back there, the ones who celebrated a global tradition of celebrating the dead, didn't drop the ball? I don't believe we will either. But I need some people on my team. I need some team people behind us knowing what we really are. Now, the spy, the stealth of all this. There is a dichotomy in the sky. And one of the biggest hallmarks of it is that two sets, benefics and malefics, are opposing each other in this new moon. So this is a new moon in the tropical chart. The sun, moon, and Mercury are all in Scorpio, the sign of the dragon, the sign of the creature that can both fly and swim, the sign of mythic release, right? And Mars hosts that moon in the tropical signs. It is in its fall in Cancer. So it's like a sick mother fighting for her child. I wonder where we have that happening on the planet. It's in opposition to Pluto in Capricorn. So this is the mother and the father representing the mother and the father, the sun and moon, their signs, and both of these planets are at the anaretic degree. They are at the final degrees of Cancer and Capricorn. So this is the passing of an age, right? At the same time, or close to it, because it actually is exact on the 3rd, we have Venus opposite Jupiter. So it's a rending, there's a tearing here, there's a catharsis, powerful energies are being released, but they are seeing through like only a spy can do. Only one that has this dark vision can see through to what's been unconscious. It's an opening intensity for November to what is intuited, what has been veiled, and what has been occulted. You know, it's a new awareness, a new illumination with this Venus and Jupiter also in opposition at the same time as Mars and Pluto are. It's a bonfire, a festival of light on the projected shadow. You know, it's said that the things outside of you that you fear are just parts of yourself that you haven't learned how to love. And I believe that's true to a certain degree. I believe that you come to an equanimity about things that you fear by getting close to them. And maybe you kind of have to do that sideways. Maybe you have to spy a little bit. Maybe you have to, to intuit. Maybe you need to look at it askance. But we have to do it a little bit differently. We have to spy in order to befriend and not exploit what lies in the shadow of unconsciousness. We need to consciously understand that perspective is a gift of perception and consciousness. Those things can give us a new perspective, a dreaming perspective, a new way of seeing. And I think this will follow really fast, and the shadow of unconsciousness will be dispelled by this catharsis. First of all, because there's a grand water trine, and given what I just said about the deluge, that's a little spooky. Mercury also in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces makes a water trine. So that's a lot of water. And water is ambient, oceanic, dreamlike. And it can flow into us, and we can be in the flow of that water. And then Mars quickly, I think on the 3rd, moves quickly into Leo and then squares the sun in Mercury. And there's a mutual reception between Venus and Jupiter and Mars and the sun. Two things can be true, right? There can be a new perspective here that gives us a heretofore undreamt of way of facing our fears. What if, I just had somebody tell me that they wanted journaling prompts. So here's one, right? This is for you, Dorinda. What if facing your fear is exactly where you need to be? What does facing your fear look like? And I heard this beautiful quote by another astrologer on YouTube. I'll try to get her name in the description box of this one, but it was her grandmother had a cross-stitch sampler that said, "Fear knocked, faith answered. No one was behind the door." And I love that. To me, it was fear knocked and equanimity answered. and no one was there. It's that whole perception perspective thing, the subject-object problem. What you're seeing is yourself, and there's really nothing to be afraid of, even when it's spooky, even when it's jump scare. And I'm not saying I'm going to be able to do that with whatever is coming, but I am saying something is coming, and we dreamt it up. And if we can't face ourselves, then we're not going anywhere. Also had a person say this week that her therapist told her that denial is one of the best ways that people protect themselves. That is not protection. That is putting your head in the sand. This is not head in the sand. This is that opening that comes from the jump scare. Okay, so this is what we got from last new moon. And I have to tell you, you guys, I am really happy to be able to put that down for a little while, because this one's been plaguing me, as if to say, you didn't get it all. And I know I didn't. So now I am getting it all. And my Saraswati candle went out, but I was prepared for that. I brought the big guns. This is the love candle. And we're going to keep the electric tea lights lit tonight for Lakshmi. Now I want to talk just a little bit about Diwali and the Festival of Lights. We did cover it in the ancient origins of Halloween because it is a remembrance of the dead. So how do you celebrate your ancestors? Here's another one for you, Dorinda. Here's another journaling prompt. How do you celebrate your ancestors when they've left you a difficult legacy? I'm thinking about, with this whole Mars and Pluto opposition, Macbeth. You know, ambition as a legacy brought him to consulting witches, murder, and a haunting. Macbeth is a teacher. Don't sleep on that, is basically what it's saying. You know, he brought himself to ruin through ambition. A bloody legacy is not what we want. It wasn't what was given to us, and it's not what we want. So we need to use the water trine. And as these planets move, that Mercury is going to communicate in a positive way with this Pluto. It's going to bring the energies of that catharsis into a place where we can understand that bad fortune, the ancients did understand this, bad fortune is not evil. It's a way of relinquishing attachment. It's a course correction when things don't go the way you want them to go. And we have a holiday for this. It's called Halloween, right? Bad fortune. You celebrate it. When you relinquish that kind of attachment, then you can decide what's worth protecting and what's not. And that's what Mars and Scorpio and Pluto can do really well. They can celebrate something by protecting it. So that's Diwali too, right? We protect life because we remember the dead. Dead. And the dragons that protect them. And the dragons that protect all of us. Dragons that can fly and swim. And we can fly and swim. The azure dragons of China and Japan were bringers of great good fortune. And dragon is really what Scorpio's symbol is, in my humble opinion. The ancient underworld, the unseen mystery of possession. We own what's going on this planet for as long as humanity lives on it. Nature hides, and the dragon symbol is one of a hidden creature. It's the only animal in the Chinese zodiac that doesn't appear to be here. I think maybe we are dragons. I think maybe we are becoming. And I think Venus is going to help us out with that, moving forward into the next month or two. Okay, I feel like that's ready. I'm going to take a sip of water. And cut the deck. Om Shreem Mahalakshmiye Namaha. Diwali is Lakshmi's holiday. Her Bij mantra is Shreem. S-H-R-E-E-M. Say that Bij mantra as much as you can until November 3rd. And honor this goddess by lighting your tea lights and being grateful for the light within you. Turning inward toward that and being glad that it's there. Fear knocked. Faith answered. She is that faith. Om Aim Saraswatiye Namaha, wisdom. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha, destroy what I don't need. Kali, take it away. We honor all three. We honor the creativity, the maintenance, and the destruction or the dissolution. Right? And all of them play with each other. Om, om, om. So in this new moon reading, for our new moon cycle, 30 days, give or take, and the 6 months that follow, and however many it can happen to be, we are, whale. This is exactly what I was talking about ancient origins. Now, a lot of people have a lot of funny ideas about what the Akashic records are, but the Akasha is your DNA. Akasha is a Sanskrit word, and it means what builds your endocrine system, essentially. What connects you, as we were talking about, with the body and the mind to the invisible world. The whale is also a creature that swims and breathes air. We are not only mental, we are also intuitive, and this water is a symbol of spirituality. Even the water of the flood can be seen as a symbol of spirituality. And we get a lot of real world treats for being merely rational beings, but that's not all we are. We also swim in the ocean of spirit. But we're in bodies. And Scorpio and Libra want to remind us of that conflict that we have to reach equanimity with. And it seems like there's an urgency about it right now with this very connected concrescent sky, with this very intelligent creature. But all intelligent creatures know that all creatures are intelligent. So let's honor that. That's us. We are crossed by our dream. Now, I take it this time, these cards are so brilliant that they leave things in that jump scare openness, right? The dreams we're too attached to, the white picket fence business, there is not enough glass, metal, or plastic in the planet for every single one of us, upwards of 8 billion now, to live that life. And when you think about the crapshoot that crossing the Taurid meteor stream is. We do that twice a year. It's like crossing a 6-lane highway blindfolded. You know, we need new dreams. We need dreams that protect everybody. And both Libra and Scorpio want to talk to us more about that moment where attraction pulls us away from the truth, and dreaming pulls us away from what reality is, what you see, hear, smell, touch, taste, and understand. Denial is one hell of a drug, but we don't need it right now. We need a little less denial and a little more over here in the Ganges, where, you know, there's lots of hungry people and they need to be fed. So not being grounded in reality seems to be the problem with our Akasha right now, with our DNA. This is founded in action. We definitely have the sense that in materialism, what matters most is how we act. The story, the Native American story that goes along with Antelope, is that he saw that humans were starving, and he went to them and said, "Take my meat, I will feed you." And then they started to freeze. And he said, "Take my skin and wear it, and I will warm you." Sometimes the most able among us need to take care of those who are not so able. And we seem to have forgotten that in our culture. If we don't act with altruism, and if we don't act to save each other, there will be no one left to save us. Enough said on that one. We are crowned by the grouse, the spiral dance. So remember, we started this whole reading with a 7, which was spider. And spider has the spiral of its web. And the grouse has the spiral of its dance. And these are like the Neolithic spirals in the Celtic countries. And now our Lakshmi candle has gone out. We move through the halls of legacy. We move in an elliptical orbit on a planet around a sun. And we move in circles unless the spiral moves off of the horizontal plane, right? We have to go vertical and we have to go deep. Scorpio and Libra bring us that depth. The ability to move across the horizontal plane, move out of merely material action and into the spirit that lives above us and below. We have to have conversations with both to be very effective dragons. Where we're coming from on this one is prayer and sacrifice. Those are our people back there in the Neolithic. They got this far. They got us this far. I'm not talking about your parents, because I know you got problems with them. And capitalism made you hate your mother. But the hope that people would live on planet Earth way past their own lifespans was the prayer and the sacrifice. Today, in this moment, just for right now, feel gratitude to them. Send a prayer back through the veil, which is very thin. The best prayer at this moment is thank you. Because we're moving towards something. And what we're moving toward is rebirth. This is Pluto's card. The bat. Seeing in the dark. Understanding the unseen world. Why do you think you're so scared? Because you're about to understand something. Why does it seem so freaky? Because something's about to be revealed. And it's very much something about our own nature. And it could be horrible. It could be horrifying. It could be a jump scare. It could be a terror show. But what if it's not? What if we dream it different? What if we turn a negative into a positive? What if we're able to overcome our own shadows? What if our actual nature is goodness and spirit and truth and altruism? Remember the sacrifice that the antelope made. Remember the sacrifice that all those animals are making every single day for us. Let's not have it be for nothing. Let's learn to see in that darkness and become greater than the past. Again, iterate to us who we are. Grace. It's not a meritocracy. All of it was given. Everything. They gave everything. They gave us everything that they were. Are we really going to throw it away because we can't see eye to eye? Are we really going to throw it away over personal differences? Do you know how few water-heavy oxidative planets there are? How uncommon the life we live is? Who we are is? What this experience is? I don't mean to get preachy. I'm talking to myself because I've been vitamin D deficient and I have had kind of a negative attitude lately, but I'm working on it. Goddess knows. And she also provides. And we are held in the hand of grace. And I don't mean anything religious. Calm down. It's not about my side or your side. It's about how we bring us all together. And I mean everybody. I mean from the chipmunks to the mycelium. All of us. Everybody on this planet is sacred. All around us, gathering. Now that not only is seasonal, but it seems a little ominous. And this is an 8. There are forces gathering around us. You can feel it. And it's in that tension that we're all experiencing. Enough said about that. Squirrels, can go in any direction. They're not very focused beings. And sometimes they can pop off and be a little scary to each other. Not necessarily. Could be just gather yourself, right? It's always a both and world. There's always 2 ways to see things. 2 things can be true. And that's part of developing intuition, is that we're gathering for preservation and that forces are gathering. And there are lots of larger forces than just us. We hope and fear the giveaway, the sacrifice, right? But this is a ceremony. This is a ritual in the Native American tradition, a potlatch ceremony, well documented in the Pacific Northwest, as a matter of fact, where the wealthiest among the tribe gave to those who had less. I mean, when you think about it, that really is the challenge, and that's really where we're failing. We're not able to see everyone here as worthy. Grace makes us all worthy. None of us earned any of this. None of us earned the air. It's a shared thing. And it's one of the first things you learn in kindergarten. And if you can't learn to share, you can't go to first grade. If I can't learn to share, I can't go to first grade. And I want to move on because we've been stuck. We've been stuck here. That's what we hope and fear. Finally, an outcome card for this reading. Ooh, patience. That's the rub, isn't it? It's not going to be won in a day. It's not going to be lost in a day. It's not going to be perfect in an hour. It's not going to be destroyed in an hour. And I myself will tell you that I have had many fuck it days. Like, screw this whole thing. We're never going to be able to get this back together. It's too hard. I'm too tired. I don't want it anymore. But patience means we need to move forward with our purpose through grace, altruistically, in the spiral. And yeah, we got to deal with what our ancestors have left us if we're going to move into this rebirth. This is the promise of Scorpio. This is the promise of Libra. When you come to equilibrium, your patience will pay off. But this is Saturn's realm, and Saturn will make patient beings of all of us, whether we like it or not. Bottom of the deck, secrets. Perfect Scorpio and Libra reading, right? Scorpio is the inner strength. When you don't tell someone's secret, you protect them. You keep your word. There are times when it's appropriate to snitch. Don't get me wrong. There are times when it's appropriate to blow the whistle. But there are times when temptation should be mediated, good Libra word, tempered, good Libra word, with protection. Temptation in the face of protecting what's worth keeping, what was given by grace, what we have gathered through prayer and sacrifice, that fuels our rebirth. Some secrets are worth keeping, but others will be told. And when they are, this whole spiral cycle, this whole dance of patience and giving and gathering and grace all comes together in front of us. That's when we need to know who we are. And that's how we learn who we are. I am excited to learn that with you. I am excited for the next revelations. I am excited to see where all this confusion of the past 4 years is leading us. And I am interested in what the rebirth will be. In the meantime, fear knocked, faith answered. No one was behind the door. Okay, one last thing. Do your lights for Diwali. Say Shreem for the goddess Lakshmi. Clean out the old, bring in the new. And also, if you can, and you have a basement, leave an offering for Hades down there tomorrow. I heard from Adam Ellenboss, who I like to listen to because he likes to play with the symbols like I do, that he has a coin jar down in the basement. And it is an offering to Hades, to Pluto. And that sounds like a good idea to me. Acknowledging the dark side, getting in there with that inner strength and the outer happiness that you hope to have from it. Being real honest with ourselves. And seeing our shadow projections over the next little while might be a good thing. You know? How am I going to be an optimist about this? All right, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and your attention. I know this one was longer, but it's Halloween. Happy Samhain.